Pens down, fingers off keyboards, give your eyes a break and listen up. So last week we talked about the start of my book and how I came up with that idea and how I come up with ideas in general and how that novel started. This week I wanted to go into the blogging side of things and how kind of me as a writer started and how I started in the blogging world. So that started a few years ago. I was living overseas, I was traveling around, and I liked writing and I wanted to write, and I had found a platform called medium.com where I could post stories and articles and connect with other writers. And so I posted a story on there, which did get published into a publication. Thankfully, there are publications on medium.com that are designed for newbies and newer writers, and they kind of help you learn how to blog, what people look for, what does well on the platform. They let short form, a lot of publications, whether you're experienced or not, they prefer short form stories, so they encourage that and they help you there, and they're very kind and patient with you when you might send stories in that need a lot of editing. So I kind of started there. I started on medium.com, and I think I was writing poems, possibly. I'm not really a poem person, but I think it might have been a poem and some short stories that they did okay. They went in a publication, it got me all excited, and it was great. And then I started discovering the platform, reading other people's articles, and learning that it was more personal. They were writing from their own perspective, things that had happened to them during the day or the week, some big life event, or almost like a diary, emotional kind of turmoil that they were going through and dealing with. So I decided to do the same, and I started to write about my travels and where I was going and what I was doing. But I do find I love to kind of go deep into the emotional side of things, so I would often write more so leaning towards my emotional state traveling, how it was exhausting and tiring and all the hard parts of travel. That's kind of what I gravitated towards. And the first article that I wrote that did quite well, that gained some traction, I think it was called "Does Anyone Else Eat Cabbage Soup?" And it was about how I had made myself some cabbage soup kind of to get by. It was all I could really afford. It was all I could muster up to keep traveling, and I just had to eat that if I wanted to continue traveling, because travel is expensive, so you got to cut down expenses where you can. And it was kind of my way of saying life is hard. Am I the only one experiencing kind of this financial dip? And a lot of people were like, same. Actually, I think most people said that they like cabbage soup, and they gave me recipes for cabbage soup that tastes really good. So that was really helpful. I don't think I made any, unfortunately, because cabbage is just not something I usually gravitate towards. And after a while I stopped needing to eat cabbage soup, thankfully, even though I hear that it is delicious and some people have fantastic recipes for cabbage soup. So I'm really happy for them, and I'm glad they get to enjoy the food that they enjoy. I'm not a cabbage soup person, but that's kind of where it started. So I tested the waters and put some stories out there, and one did well. And because that was to do with food and finances, I kind of went down that track a little bit and continued to post articles where it was focusing more on finances and financially struggling, especially as a traveler, because I was traveling, so that was kind of my perspective, and where you can cut costs on things. So it'd be, how do you cut back on grocery bills, buying generic and specials and buying from the freezer section when you want Uber Eats, that kind of thing. So that was kind of where I started, and I did love that because I do love to budget and I love to look at money and all that boring stuff. So I was having a lot of fun. And then I think a few other articles that did well were from insane experiences. Like one was a story of how I traveled, well, I suppose it was travel, but I walked the Tongariro crossing in New Zealand with about 5 others, and it was a chaotic trip because there was a weather warning, but they weren't advising anyone not to go. They said if you were going to go the following day, they would advise you not to go, but the day prior was fine. It was just a bit foggy. Yeah, there were people who like didn't have gloves or weren't eating, going a little bit slow. One person had COVID, they didn't realize until the next day. So it was a chaotic trip. So I wrote about that, and that did quite well, which I was quite happy with. Made me feel like I needed to go on more crazy adventures to write about them, but alas, I never did. Don't know if it's alas or if it's thankfully, but maybe in the future, but not at the moment. And then, yeah, a few others that did well were just experiences from like a night out and how safe I felt in the Netherlands where I was living, and that did quite well, so that was good. But I suppose that's where it started, was just trial and error. And people have asked kind of how do you navigate Medium in particular, that platform, because I am a big advocate for medium.com. I think it's fantastic. A lot of people are complaining because the algorithm, it's always changing, and a lot of people's earnings have dropped. A lot of people's stories aren't being found, and my theory is that they focus more on the new people that are coming into Medium, because I know when I started, and I think a lot of people, they got boosted quite quickly. You earn a fair amount when you first start, people find you quite easily, and it's all very exciting. Whereas from what I'm hearing from other people on Medium and from my experience as well, the longer that I've been on there, it seems like the stories just get lost a lot more easily. So you do kind of rely on those communities that you've built to help you find the stories and let you know if they like them or if they don't, if you're on the right track in terms of your writing, if, you know, they feel that emotional connection, that kind of thing. So you do rely on them to find those stories. And yeah, the finances have dipped. I don't really know what's going on there. If it's me, because I personally have dropped a little bit away from as much as I used to do when I first started, because just lots of things going on now, not just the blogging. So I don't know if it's that, or from, it sounds like on Medium that everyone who's been on there for a while is feeling the same things. There's something going on there, but hopefully they can sort that out and people become a lot happier on the platform and feel a bit more valued over there soon. But essentially, if you do want to jump on Medium, I think it's a great place to build community. You have a portfolio essentially from all your writings that you can send off to. If you do freelancing, you can send that off as kind of like a portfolio to say, hey, this is what I can do and this is what I have done. This is how many people like it, comment on it if that's something that they want to see. Those stats are there. You can have a look at the stats yourself. You can send them that unless they look bad, which mine may or may not. You can keep those secret as well. But essentially, you just go on there, you read a lot of articles, you follow and subscribe a lot of amazing writers, some incredible writers on there that I'm very privileged to be in a similar community of and am able to read their work. And then from there you can kind of learn what publications or communities you want to be a part of, what type of writing you want to do. You can add different articles, you can apply to be part of different publications, and you can kind of see where you fit. From that, I've learned that my writing, I would say, is not sophisticated. It is more on the light-hearted side. So I definitely gravitate more towards the light-hearted, less serious publications in some ways, and definitely travel. Definitely, I send my writing into travel publications as well. That's definitely one of the bigger niches I suppose I fall into. So definitely travel. I tried to do some more budgeting stuff, but that's kind of dropped away, so it is more travel and funny, light-hearted articles, which hopefully people enjoy. Yeah, so you kind of discover what you like on there, who kind of follows you, who enjoys your work. You can kind of see where you fall into in your place in the writing world. Like, I definitely do not write about technical stuff. I do not write, I suppose I do kind of write guides, but they're hard. I find them quite hard. Even how to start writing, I find it quite difficult because I feel like I'm still in the middle of it. I can offer tips, and I suppose that I do have some tips in the back of my mind that I've learned along the way, but it still feels like I'm very new and learning, and that is difficult to write a how-to guide when you feel like you're just starting as well. So that's where I started, just finding a blogging space to do that. I've also found a few other online websites that I've dabbled in and tried just to see kind of where my writing is and where it fits, what type of writer I am. You want to experiment as much as you possibly can. So I'm definitely on Reddit a lot. I do find it quite fun answering questions over there. People will ask questions, especially newbies, and so that is quite fun to kind of offer some help and encouragement or some congratulations when people post that they've published their first book or their second book or their third book, or they're making tracks in their writing careers. So that's a lot of fun to see, and a lot of fun to kind of be in their comments saying, well done, you got this. That's something I enjoy, and it's also a good way to get your name out there as well. It's gonna be slow. I can't guarantee anything has even come from it for me, but just having your name out in the world as much as you possibly can will be really helpful for you to build traction and build that audience that you are looking for. And the more people that get eyes on your work, the better. Even if they don't like it, you're learning what type of readers will like your work and which type of readers will not, which helps you understand who you are as a writer. So the best piece of advice when you're starting out is publish. Get your stuff out there. Get your short form work out there. Get your novels out there. Just put the work out into the world. I know it can seem like a big task, especially if it's a novel. It's expensive. It takes a lot of time. It's a really hard thing to do. But if you can do short form, even posting a question on Reddit, people can see how you write. Posting on Medium, posting on Facebook, posting on Instagram. Maybe not TikTok because that's more videos, but you could read something aloud on TikTok. Just whatever you can do, put it out there. People might be mean, unfortunately, but some people, you'll find your readers, you'll find your crew, you'll find the people that like your work, and from there it will build and build and build. So just get your work out there as far and wide as you possibly can. And that's part of the joy of writing, is finding that community and finding the people who connect with your work, connect with you, that you connect with. It's all part of it. And for me, that's the best part about writing, is finding all those people you connect with. If you have any tips for starting out with blogging or Medium or any other blogging websites or any other advice or thoughts, do leave it in the comments so that we can all learn from each other and support each other, because that is the joy of writing communities. Alright, lift up those pens, put those fingers back on the keyboard, and I will talk to you next time.